Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is another episode. I think this is 9. He threw me off. We let Freight Train name the episode one time, and now I'm all flustered. But this is the NFL Elite Banter Cuts and Free Agency. But this is episode 9 officially. And Freight Train, how's it going, man? How's life treating you?
Not bad, man. The NFL seems to be the gift that keeps on giving each and every week. You know, it seems like every week there's big news to talk about.
It's like a hemorrhoid. You always feel it. It's like, even when you don't want to, it always seems to show right back up again. I keep thinking I keep thinking to myself, we're not going to have anything for this week's show. We're not going to have anything. And then 4 minutes later, I'm like, oh, never mind. There's 11 things. Okay, that's all it took.
Right. Yeah. But it's a wild mix of stuff to talk about today. That's for sure.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot out there. For my fellow Eagles fans, obviously, there's a topic that we're going to hit on here shortly. It is the elephant in the room in Philadelphia. It is the elephant in the city, I should say. It is very rare that Market Street and Broad are blocked by by an elephant in the room of Jason Kelce. And I'm being told to send a link. I guess we have a certain person who wants to be a part of the show. But yeah,
I feel like it's big news, like across the NFL. Like everybody knows the Kelce's. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
I mean, dude, and if you didn't know them before Taylor Swift, you definitely know them now.
Right.
If you didn't know them before the Super Bowl, you know them now. If you don't watch podcasts, you know them now. I mean, there's like 14 different ways that you should have heard about these guys by now. So if you haven't,
right,
whatever rock you're under, I want that because that means I can avoid all the politics too. So by all means, please do share the space under the rock. But so Freight Train obviously went ahead. He set some of this show up for us this week, and I appreciate you. Life is busy in the smoke household. No, we don't smoke in the house, for the record. We do have a small child. I don't want children and youth to come out to my house. But yeah, man, what's our first topic of the day here, Freight? What we got?
I mean, we've had some pretty high-profile cuts across the league, some big news. I mean, obviously, like quarterbacks, Russell Wilson's told that, hey, go ahead and try to find a partner because you are going to be a post, April 1st cut. You got that. And then the Broncos went ahead and released their safety, Isaiah Simmons, who I think is one of the better safeties in the league that doesn't get talked about. That's a
Did they move him to safety? He was outside linebacker when they drafted him. They shifted him.
They put him.
I'm not gonna lie, when we were behind the scenes and you mentioned him as a safety, I was like, I'm just gonna let him have that one. But he might be smoking some good stuff over there.
No, he's safety. Yeah, and certainly if you're looking for safety help, like this is the free agency period to get him because the Bills also released Jordan Poyer, who's played safety at a high level for them for a while, who's getting up there in age. He's in his 30s. That's getting kind of up there in football age-wise, but he's still a solid tackler and a veteran presence in the back. I know the Eagles just released the safety that they traded for. Byard, yes. And then with the Bills.
That was mostly because, the cap space that he was taking up was massive. That's really all that was.
Right.
Like, by no means are we saying this guy – he did not play well, by the way. He definitely underperformed what he was supposed to perform at. Like, when you bring a guy like him in, high profile, come into a room where a lot of our safeties were knocked out, they were all hurt, and to come in and play well, he just did not live up to the hype. The market was too big for him.
And then sticking with the Bills, they also released Tre'Davious White, who was an all-pro cornerback in 2019, has dealt with some injuries the past 2 years. One was a torn ACL, and the other one was like a freak accident last year. He missed some games, but he's still, a young, good cornerback. And then they also released, this is a big one for them, they released their center, Mitch Morse. That's always a tough situation with a veteran quarterback like Josh Allen, and then you take his solid, center away from him. So that's a situation that, should be monitored with the Bills. But yeah, there's and then like the Vikings, a couple days ago told Alexander Madison he's gone. He didn't really work out. I think he hid behind Dalvin Cook for the longest time. So, but yeah, there's definitely some safety help out there. You're what?
Was Madison when he was starting. Definitely not good. Sorry, I think I'm losing my connection here for some reason. There's something going on with my Wi-Fi over here. I pay for it, I swear. I'm not Larry Stryker where my Wi-Fi goes out every 11 minutes. But If worse comes worse, I'll disappear for 5. No, it's just my fiance's on a cheap Wi-Fi. I have my boosted Wi-Fi separately. But yeah, man. So obviously there's a lot of cuts. I mean, what would you say? I mean, for me, it's hard to say there's a biggest. Hey, what's up, Craig from Patton? How you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. But no, I mean, for me, one of the craziest ones would have been pretty much everything in Buffalo. I mean, Tre'Davious White. I mean, I know he's been hurt and he's been pretty banged up, but when he's healthy, I mean, he's a stud. And then on top of that, to also let go of Jordan Poyer. And rumor is they're trying to stockpile money for the offense, but that's the last thing you have to worry about right now if you're Buffalo. Buffalo's defense has been the focus of why are you guys not winning games? Your defense. So you cut your top 2 guys.
Well, that's what I mean. But you're continuing to pay Von Miller his big money. What did Von Miller do last year? Nothing that I can recall. You know, and then of course he also has an impending allegation we're beating up a pregnant woman. Yep. So you don't know what you're going to get with him if that ever comes to light. You know, and then you just like it's these veteran guys like Poyer. I feel like they should bring back on a lesser deal. Like if I was going to call it, I would assume they're going to try to bring him back on a lesser deal because that's somebody you got to keep back there.
That's what I'm thinking too. Hey, Mom, thanks for tuning in. Hi, guys. I'm having issues with my connection too. So if I lose you, well, that's okay. You're not live. I'm the one that's live. Look like an ass. Appreciate you for tuning in, Ma. Appreciate it. My mom just moved out for the finally. So she's back up in her own place 2 hours away. It is the furthest separated we've ever been in 30 years.
Congrats, Mom. Way to go.
We're having separation anxiety, though. I'm a mama's boy forever. I don't give a damn. Right. So is Mitch heading to Buffalo? Yes, he is. Mitch was signed back to Buffalo. I think that's actually a good move for both teams. I think it's a good move for both teams. I think for Pittsburgh, he wasn't fitting your offense. He just did not fit the schematics.
What offense can you fit in when you have the same amount of touchdowns as interceptions?
But I also think at the same time, he played in Buffalo prior, right? And like we all know, he played really well when he was there. Sometimes the system makes a difference. It really does. I mean, not only that, but no offense, I think Buffalo's O-line is equal and or greater. The running game is pretty equal, I would say. But the passing game, as far as the receiving core, I would say Buffalo is better than Pittsburgh's receiving core, in my opinion.
I don't know about that one.
Is better in Buffalo, in my opinion.
That's hindsight, but the receivers, like, no, I think I give Pittsburgh the edge on that. I think Deontay Johnson doesn't get enough credit for who he is and what he does. And obviously the jury's still out on George Pickens. In Buffalo, you have Gabe Davis, who has to drop more often than not. And then Stephon Diggs, who is aging and had big drops in the biggest game of the year for them in the AFC Championship game against Kansas City, and the game that they needed to have to get over that hump of beating Kansas City, and your best wide receiver didn't even show up.
I mean, Pittsburgh's whole team didn't show up to their playoff game.
They were behind the 8 ball, dude. They were playing with house money. We didn't
show up either. We stayed home.
We didn't playing with house money. But
I think the Eagles had like 3 guys hopped off the plane in Philly. That was about it. They went to Tampa, and like Devontae showed up, Kelsey showed up, and Lane Johnson showed up. The rest of the team was like, you guys got it. You 3 take over. It was pretty sad. It was hard to watch the Eagles game. I will not lie.
But the thing with Mitch, man, like you can tell the guy's confidence is completely shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't even think Mitch even believes in himself anymore. And you go to Buffalo where he can maybe run a scout team, but even if that Buffalo team goes up 40, Mitch is going to come in and make it a close game with the stupid turnovers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. Mitch just doesn't have it. He doesn't have it anymore. Something happened along the lines with Chicago. He thought he got better there in Buffalo with Ken Dorsey, who is no longer there, mind you. And then comes to Pittsburgh, and it's an absolute train wreck.
Yeah.
And he just can't get right.
I mean, at this point, I don't think he makes a major impact anyway. So as far as this topic itself goes, he's the last one to mention. So Craig, we were not ignoring the topic. It just wasn't a big enough topic to. No. It wasn't taking a marquee plot in our banner list here of things to talk about because it's.
Now here's another one, Rich, who's potentially getting cut is one of the best wide receivers a couple years ago who was on his way to having a Hall of Fame career in Michael Thomas. Who the Saints are going to cut. Are you the guy that takes a flyer on Michael Thomas, or are you staying away because of his injury problems?
I think it depends on where you're at. As a franchise, it depends on where you are. I mean, if you're a team trying to bid into the playoffs and you got like one piece that you're missing, and if let's put it this way, you don't touch him. Obviously, you don't even touch anything with him until after the draft. So you go through the draft, you try to see if you can grab the guy that you think fills the role. Maybe not of a Michael Thomas stature, but if somebody to go in there, fill the 3 spot, the 2 spot, whatever. If you're unable to, and you're unable to locate the guy that you like in free agency for the right tag, maybe. That being said, the biggest thing that we got to talk about there is the price tag, because even though we know he's washed up to an extent as far as injuries go, he's not going to believe that, right? I mean, like, if I were to tell you right now you're terrible at your job and you're out of work for a couple of months and we got to let you go, you're not going to admit that you fucking sucked for the last couple of months. You're just going to say, hey, well, I got over an injury, man. What do you expect?
Yeah. So what you're saying is he's more on the lines of filling a role like a Julio Jones.
He's going to have to. Like, maybe not as drastic as Julio, where it's an extremely low snap count. I mean, he'll probably get more snaps than Julio. You're going to also have to pay him a lot more than we paid Julio. I just think his role is going to be or a top, again, a slot 3. I mean, which is what his bread and butter is anyway. I mean, everybody made jokes about him for 2 years about he's a slant guy. He's a slant guy, which, to be fair, he did run more slants than the average wide receiver over that time frame in New Orleans. But I don't give a damn how you get me 1,500 yards if you get me 1,500 yards. So we can bash them all you want, but it was a great year. So, I mean, for me, I would say high side is a 2 option. Low side is a 3. I think you send him to a team that's competing, though. Like maybe like a team like Houston that has some cap space and has nothing to lose from something like that. Maybe you bring him into that locker room because it's a very, very young offensive team. Bring him in for a leadership role, a little bit of a veteran role, get a bit of recent. And listen, they have one of the biggest cap spaces in the NFL because everybody there's a rookie.
Everybody's on a rookie deal. Yeah.
Or you got Devin Singletary getting paid peanuts at running back or, whatever. I mean, at this point, you got a ton of rookies, a ton of young guys, bring in a vet. So some team like that, some team that's missing that feels like they're a wide receiver away or, whatever it may be. But I think he has a fit. I just don't know what teams that would be. I mean, again, Houston, maybe the Saints could actually, it's a shame the Saints couldn't bring him back in there because I think he would pair up relatively well if he stayed healthy. But they have quarterback problems. They got all kinds of issues in New Orleans. So who knows? The hard part, too, is the other hard part is what quarterback are you going to have? Are they going to fit the same scheme as whatever what the new coaches are going to bring in? That's why you're seeing so many cuts. With all these different head coaches that we're seeing, these guys have game plans they want to run. And they're like, hey, man, you don't fit. Sorry, you don't fit my system. You're out. This doesn't matter. You can't make them fit the system. So that's the hard part. And that's why you see a lot of defensive guys being cut. I mean, in Philly, we got rid of Kevin Byard. We're talking about making moves on the defensive line, maybe making some linebacker moves. Why? When you're the defensive coordinator, you want it your way. Well, Kevin Byard doesn't fit the Vic Fangio style. So, see ya.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it's just like the NFL is kind of moving into we're only going to be keeping these guys for a certain amount of years, and then we're going back to a younger option, more cheaper, younger option.
That's always how. Unless you're over the top good, that's what they're going to keep doing. I mean, you got to remember, it's like any job. There's always going to be your replacement brought in to watch what you're doing, to learn from you, and eventually he's taking your spot. I mean, if you're in the workforce and you're a carpenter and you're 55, 56 years old, you see some 23-year-old guy shadowing you all day for a couple of months, it's the end. It's time. So like Rodgers learned that lesson twice, really. But I mean, Brett Favre learned it, then Rodgers got the same treatment. You're going to see that. I mean, the NFL today is realizing we can save a ton of money by giving these guys rookie contracts, bringing them in if they're talented enough. The problem is going to be eventually wide receivers, running backs, safeties. They already struggle, but you're going to start seeing a lot less older guys getting even 1-year deals because they're going to want to give those 1-year deals to somebody in their training facility or practice squad because they just don't want these old guys, which is a shame because Julio came up big for us last year.
Right.
And not like overall, but like in a couple key games, I mean, he showed up.
Do you think this is a way for these franchises? Like, do you think there's a hidden meaning behind all of this of these NFL owners trying to get NFL contracts under control?
Yeah. Every sport is trying to find a way to get the players to go back under the microscope and try to win some money back, especially with NIL now making things even more difficult. Like, I'm sure you heard the rumors that what's his name, the number 1 overall pick, Caleb Williams, who I can't stand. First of all, I will never understand the ridiculous amount of hype around him. I think he has talent, but I think if you watch him in those hard games, he makes a lot of bad decisions. He's not that great. It blows my mind that we're talking about giving him ownership shares, and I don't know if you saw this,
which is actually illegal.
I don't know if
that'll never happen.
Yeah, you can't do that. But I don't know if you saw that or not. But Caleb Williams' dad was trying to negotiate with teams to where he was going to skip the rookie contract. You can't do that. That is debated by the NFLPA for a reason. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to be groundbreaking and change the mold of the NFL and remove the rookie contract. I don't see that ever happening. The owners have to vote on that. Imagine if a guy who's 10 times better than Caleb comes out in 5 years and there's no rookie contracts. He's going to demand $100 million a year. It's going to be some obnoxious number.
I mean, I've seen crazier things. I mean, I've seen the Cleveland Browns give a guy that hadn't played quarterback in 2 years guaranteed $230 million.
I still think it's the worst signing of the last decade. Well, you know what? I put him right next to the Brock Osweiler. Maybe he's a little bit better than Osweiler talent-wise, but as far as like talent itself, like the availability, the issues, I mean, he is Brock Osweiler 2.0 with a little bit better mobility.
Which is funny because both of those quarterbacks are tied to the Cleveland Browns. I'm seeing a recurring trend here with a certain franchise.
I think the problem is quarterbacks is a desperation market. It always is. Everybody's always desperate to try to land that next big guy, and they will spend the money to do it. Hey, Benjamin Bennett, how you doing, man? Hope everything's going well. Robbie DeFeo, thanks for tuning in. I don't know what a jack wagon is, but I'm going to assume it's some kind of a lemon car.
You don't know what a jack wagon is?
No, I've never heard that day in my life. We actually speak English in Philadelphia.
What?
So, well, kind of English. We speak partial English in Philadelphia. We invent words like John and Wooder and stuff like that, but that's nonetheless. But anyway, so moving on from that, so obviously there's a lot of big cuts, a lot of big signs. We'll obviously talk with you guys a lot more about it as free agency is getting very, very close now. So you will start seeing some guys come off of the board. But we will get a little bit more into that next week, I think, when we start getting more rumors.
Which, while we're kind of talking about these cuts and signings,
hey, Bubba Brewer,
the legal tampering period for the NFL is
the best halfback in the NFL, Robbie. There's a lot of Steelers fans in the comments right now, so I'm expecting a lot of anti-Ravens talk.
So the legal tampering period for the NFL is next Thursday for our show. So there will be a whole heck of a lot more free agency when we come on next, because now you're going to know who's interested in what.
Yeah, we'll probably have some tickers rolling, maybe get some graphics rolling. We just haven't had time. We apologize for that. We are trying to be as professional as possible, but also with our timetable in mind. So moving on from that, obviously we talked about Combine a little bit. We're not going to be on this a lot. This will be a 5-minute conversation here, but we hit on the Combine a lot of it last week, talking about what our thoughts were as far as the value of it, what our expectations were from it. Now, there was, and I'm sure you saw this, there's some crazy, crazy stuff that took place over the Combine. There's some big winners in there, some big losers in there. How about this? So real fast, I'll just give you a couple of the highlights, and I want you to tell me how crazy this is. And I know we talked about it a little bit before the show started, but that's okay. Once my article reloads here, that's great. Come on, that's not what I clicked on. You know it. Anyway, so a couple of the big winners. Xavier Worthy. This man just shot up 2 rounds on the draft board, from round 3 to 2 to high 2 to a 1 maybe. Xavier Worthy, for those of you who did not see it, he is the wide receiver out of Texas, and he was expected to be about a 2nd, 3rd round pick, somewhere in that ballgame. It depended on where other guys fell. But how about this guy breaking the all-time Combine record, beating John Ross III out of Cincinnati? He ran a 4.2140.
That's crazy.
I mean, at this point, we need fireproof cleats. I mean, these guys are literally probably setting trails of smoke behind them at 4.21.
And the thing is, Rich, the most impressive part about that stat is he's not 5'11".
No.
He's 6'3", 6'4", running a 4.2.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That almost makes him look faster.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, but he also had a 41-inch vertical, which is 4th amongst all wide receivers in the Combine. So, he has the ups. I mean, he has the speed. I mean, from what I was reading, as far as his drills went, phenomenal footwork, great awareness of the sideline. Obviously, it's non-contact, but there are certain things you will see in the Combine, which we agreed on. There are some things. He is 6'1", by the way. But still,
Okay.
it's still a big guy.
Yeah, that's still a decent size.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a decent size for a wide receiver who's a speedy guy. Usually, you're going to lose a lot of size for the speed. But there's a couple of guys that
I
got
was
really
off by 2 inches. Some say that's a lot. Some say that's a little.
It depends on what wife you ask. I mean, a couple big guys got propelled in. I mean, so Tony Fontenot, the guard tackle out of Washington, the big offensive lineman, he shot up his draft. Chop Robinson from Penn State. He is now being called a lock for the first round.
He's a stud. He's an absolute stud.
Well, he was being listed as a questionable first rounder. Now he is apparently a lock. But here's the thought. It's always, it's funny. It's always boring to talk about the guys who did great. It's way more fun to air out those who struggled. So real fast, and I'm saying a couple of these. And so first one, Kalen King, corner out of Penn State, projected second, third round corner, depending on how things shape up. He ran, and hear me out, ready? So he's only 5'11", 191, so he's already pretty small. He ran a 4.6 140.
That's
and that could be a corner. Let's put it this way. Sam Hartman was the only quarterback to run in this entire combine. And I'm pretty sure he ran like a 4.6 flat or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
You should not be competing with corners in the 40.
No. His stock went from maybe second round to like end of the sixth round.
Well, they're saying right now he will be lucky to land on day 2, given how the last 6 months have gone. So they're also rating him as far as his bowl game, the end of his season. So there's an imaginary.
I mean, he can still increase that with his pro day, which I certainly hope he does.
He's going to have to.
For his sake.
Well, and then another big one, real fast, before we get too long on that. Braylon Troy's out of Washington, big defensive end, obviously got a lot more hype because he made the championship game and all that fun stuff. Out of Washington, he showed up 30 pounds lighter at the combine. He was weighing at 275. He showed up at 245. Not a lot of teams want to see that when we're talking D linemen.
Right.
45 is a very, very small defensive lineman, by the way. And he still, even with the weight loss, he ran a 4.72 40 from an edge. No, he's an edge rusher. He's not a run stopper. He's not a defensive tackle. He's an edge rusher and ran a 4.72, which is incredible. I mean, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But I would say the biggest laugh of the day, this would be the final one that we hit on. I could hit on Cameron Kitchens, who's obviously a really big name out of Miami. Just so you guys know, he's a safety who ran a 4.65, which was tied for the worst of all safeties after he had a really high draft stock. Some people were saying he was the best safety in the draft. He might go first round or very early second. They're now expecting him to drop into the mid-second round.
Which bodes well for the veteran safeties that are available in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, he bombed. But here's my laugh of the day. This is my favorite one. I thought this was hilarious. Leonard Taylor, the third, defensive tackle out of Miami. He had a lot of upside coming in. There's not a lot of defensive tackles in this draft, so he was expected to be one of the top 3 or 4 guys to get a look. Well, it turns out, and listen, we all know these are big guys. Now, if you watch Jordan Davis, I think he actually ran a 4.8 or something like that, or a 4.7, whatever it was. For a big guy, he ran a 4.6, something fast.
Yeah.
Leonard Taylor, the third. This might be the slowest 40 I've ever heard in my life, by the way. I think he fell asleep at the line. It took a little while to jump.
Let's see. What was it?
He ran a 7.81 second three. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the 3-cone drill, but still, he ran a 7.81 3-cone drill, which is actually even faster usually than your 40 time. He ran an 8-second cone drill. They specified the cone drill because that's even worse.
That kind of just pisses me off. Like, where was my invite to the NFL Combine?
Because I feel like I mean, come on. But listen, I'm not running. Listen, don't get me wrong. I shouldn't talk shit on the 4.61 corner because I ain't running the 4.61. But I'm also not trying to be a corner. At this point, I got the speed of an O lineman and the knee safety and the knee health of a defensive tackle. I'll probably give you like a good 6.5 though.
Like that's not even fast enough to do a Chinese fire drill.
I don't think
at that point, you don't even get out.
I'm pretty sure you don't even stop, drop, and roll that fast. I mean, basically means if he ever catches on fire, he's screwed. I mean, he's done. Yeah. There is no putting that fire out. We do have a guest coming on here. It looks like we have a secret mystery guy, and we're going to talk about his brother's retirement and his other brother's extremely emotional response to it. We'll get to that shortly, though, so don't ruin it yet. We have our buddy here. This is Bubba Brewers. This is his guy. This is obviously the field correspondent. Yep. I wasn't going to say it because I don't know if it's trademarked or not. Maybe Bubba's going to send me a bill in the mail now. Great.
Oh, shit.
Well, we got Shane Statmiller, also known as the Special Kelsey. How's it going, man?
Kelsey.
How's it going?
Hey, I see you guys were talking about that. So I got off my show early, and but I didn't get on until like 8:02, and I'm like, man, hopefully I can come on and say hi.
Yeah.
No, guys, you're talking about my kryptonite, and that's the combine. I love watching these freaks. And then some of these guys look like they just take a couple months off before the combine.
It looks like we did a combine of podcasters. The three of us were out there.
Hey, don't insult us like that, okay, Frank?
Yeah.
I'll give you a 4.7 maybe. I mean, I'm not giving you a 7.8.
With a cigarette in his mouth too.
Hey guys, I tell you what, we did like an officer PT Olympics, and I had the fastest 40, and I think I was like 31 or 32, but it was like a 4.95, but that's still not smoking fast.
Okay, I see you, old man.
Hey,
That's the military still in you. It's all the boot camp wearing off still. It's still not going yet.
4.95. That's O lines. That's a tackle speed there.
Well, not if you're this guy with the 3 cone drill running a 7.81 on a 3 cone though, Shane. Not a 40. Yeah. The 3 cone drill.
Did he take a knee and wipe his brow or something? Or
I think he fell asleep. He was like, "Oh crap!" They probably shot a gun off. I don't know. I mean, but he did not wake up for his.
What about Caleb putting up the 225? 27 times?
Yeah, the one thing he did. Yeah,
the only thing he did. Yeah. You know what though? I got to give love, and I'm a Notre Dame guy. I always have been, so I just want to give a little bit of love. I mean, Sam Hartman for being the only quarterback to run that 40. And he ran it with pride, too. He was pissed off at his first time. I mean, he was getting everybody all pumped up.
Yeah. Was it 4.6? 4.7?
It was like a 4.6 flat or something like that.
That's fantastic.
Well, he beat like 4 corners and 3 safeties in the 40. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good if you ask me.
Yeah.
But no, I give him a lot of love, though, because when they said there's only one quarterback running, I'm like, are you kidding me? 1 quarter? Like, I get it. Like, you're a quarterback, but when you sell yourself as this high, versatile guy, you got to show up and run the 40, man.
And if you're guys like Jalen, who are considered now like basically the 3rd quarterback off the board behind Drake May and Caleb Williams, like you didn't do anything to help yourself to try to convince people otherwise.
Xavier Worthy going to the Chiefs. I hope not.
I don't know, but. Like you could have at least helped yourself and maybe convincing somebody to take you over Drake May. I don't think they're going to take you over Caleb Williams because the hype is too high on him. Like the Bears think he's the can't miss prospect.
Yeah, Caleb Williams. I was listening to Ryan Leaf talk about Caleb Williams, and
if anybody knows a bust, that man knows a bust.
That's true. Yeah, yes, he does. Yes,
he said, and this is what I'm quoting him. 75% of what he did well in college won't translate to the NFL.
No, it won't.
And I think that it was just, I was listening to Ryan Leaf. I'm like, this is a fantastic assessment of this kid's talent level. Yeah. I mean, I think Ryan Leaf found his niche because what he said was so spot on and so just articulate. I was just blown away. So golf clap for Ryan Leaf after all these years.
Do you think they'll give him a nickname like he's like the field buff course? I mean, the field bus correspondent. Is that what he's going to be? He's just all he talks about is buffs all year. It's all he's have to talk about. Yeah. It's like every time I watch a Ryan Leaf clip, all he's talking about is how somebody busted or somebody didn't work out or whatever. I'm like, you have to feel so good knowing it's not just you, Ryan.
He's like one of those guys that goes in the witness protection program, comes back and helps the FBI and tells them this is what to look for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, so I mean, obviously the combine was pretty crazy. There was some weird stuff, and there always is. Like, we agreed though, Shane, last week. I know you weren't in the show with us, but we discussed a little bit of our thoughts on. And just my honest opinion is, I think a lot of the combine probably could be skipped. I don't think everything there matters a ton. I mean, some stuff matters. Like some stuff does. If you're a corner, you better run a good 40. You better have a good vertical. You better have basic things like that.
But it's the NFL junkies, okay? They're out there. I think you two are 2 of them, okay?
Probably.
This is the fix. This is for college, it's spring ball in April. But for you NFL guys, it's this. I mean, it is like the Olympics. It's like watching curling. You know, you can't help yourself, but you're watching these people heat up the ice and get the freaking stone moving. That's what this is equivalent to. It is what it is. It's, it's buffet pizza. It is what it is.
But at this point, Shane, though, we're seeing a trend of like the consensus top picks just totally skipping
top
out.
15 don't show up.
So at this point, at this point, should they do away with the East-West Bowl, or the Senior Bowl, I'm sorry, and just invite all those guys to the combine to give themselves better looks than at a Senior Bowl that really has the same thing? Like half those guys didn't even want to play either in that game.
I gotta shout the comments real fast. This is funny though, ready? So Robbie DeFeo goes, Chicago should draft Taylor Daniels. Kyle goes, Chicago should sell the franchise. And that is the most accurate comment I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Shane, sorry.
Yeah, they're going to draft another guy that's like Fields.
Yep.
And just it's going to be, I mean,
repeat.
It's just like, if you keep banging your head on the same thing over and over, you think you'd either duck or wear a hard hat. But it's just.
I don't agree with Colin Cowherd very often, but when I do. And he made a really good comment about one of the problems is they keep having the same trend, right? So what they're going to do is they bring in they have Eberflus there. They'll get rid of Fields. They're going to bring in, we'll just say Caleb Williams, for example. They're going to bring him in. He'll be with Eberflus for the first year. Eberflus is already on the hot seat. He'll get fired probably halfway through the year if they're not playing well. And then he'll have another head coach. And then it's going to be Justin Fields all over again. It's going to be a turntable of coaches. And that's what the problem is. If you know that you're not winning football games, in my opinion, here's my opinion. If I'm an owner of an NFL team, let's say I own a team and, let's just say Freight Train, you're my GM, and then Shane's my head coach. I'm telling you guys, listen, Shane, I'm firing you. I have no choice. We have to draft a quarterback. Yeah. If I'm going number one overall for a QB, I need to go find a quarterback coach to come in and bring him up with him. We already know that we haven't been doing well together. Love you to death, man. We appreciate you. And it's not even about you. We like you. We would actually keep you for another year if we had Fields. But we have the number one pick. We have to go quarterback. We have to bring in a coach that we know is going to stay with us for at least 3 years. You have to.
The thing is, Chicago has 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah.
Okay. That remind you, this number one pick is technically Carolina's pick.
Yep.
If Chicago would play it smart, you have so many holes on your football team. Yep. Trade it for more assets. Get more draft picks. You could trade down and take somebody like a Marvin Harrison Jr. or somebody. Surround Justin Fields, the quarterback you already have, who's just as comparable to Caleb Williams, in my opinion, to maximize his potential.
I love that, Kyle. I listen, Shane knows my mindset. I know Shane follows a very similar trend. Bo Nix is one of my favorite guys in this draft, and whoever takes him in the second, third round is getting a steal, no matter what.
He's the best. He is the most accurate. Okay. Him and Penix. Okay, I know you're not a big Penix fan. Penix played like crap against a really good defense.
Yep.
Okay, he had a bad game.
Yep.
He is really accurate. Yep. Bo Nix and Penix are the 2 quarterbacks that will transfer their skill set will transfer in the NFL and play and be the most plug and play. But,
so he wasn't talked about the most, but how do you feel about J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan? How do you feel about him?
I think he's good, but I don't think he is as good as I think Bo Nix and Penix are. I just think they're just so sharp, so accurate. I think they pass the eye test.
I think you mentioned it earlier about the 75% doesn't translate to the NFL. I think those are the 2 guys that the attributes they do have do transfer over to the NFL. That's the thing.
I'll talk about JJ real quick.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy, okay? If he is such a playmaker, why did his ass sit on the bench against Penn State?
Yep.
Okay? And he did not make that big of a difference. When Bo Nix and Penix did not play well in their prospective teams, I'm just saying, they take their team and their players to the next level because they're that good. I don't think J.J. McCarthy is a game changer. My opinion. But I'm not an NFL scout.
Well, no, you're right, though. If you're getting sat in a college football game, why are we talking about drafting you in the first, second round of the NFL? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Against Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State's, they were good this year. They weren't like top 5 good, but they were top 10, top 20 good.
My fiance.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me personally, and I agree, by the way, Kyle, I always said I think Brock Bowers is the perfect fit for the LA Chargers, by the way. I think that would be made in heaven. Give Herbert a guy like that, and then also have I mean, I know Keenan Allen's wrapping his career up, but like
honestly, if they went either Brock Bowers or a big wide receiver, I would
yeah.
would take it if I was.
I think they have to go. But if I'm them, I'm definitely going Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is the most.
As long as they don't mess the wide receiver pick up like they did last year.
It's funny. Nobody talks about Bowers. I guess there's no competition at tight end, but it's funny. Like nobody talks about him. Like, dude, that guy was stellar, man. Like that is one of like we talk about Kyle Pitts being a freak athlete. Bowers is bigger. He's faster. I mean, great hands. He's a wide receiver, is what he is. But he can block really well. So
see, and I agree with Kyle down here that they should.
So do I.
I think they should trade down. You could probably trade down with like somebody like the Patriots, who are in desperate need of a quarterback.
Yeah,
and take Harrison with their pick.
You trade them to somebody who is not going to take a quarterback. That's it. You can trade to anybody you want who's not going QB. I mean, and there's a few teams that won't. I mean, like there's plenty of teams out there that are making phone calls. Like trade them to the Giants. Giants want a QB first round. Give it to them. See ya. Have fun. Enjoy. The Patriots are going to go quarterback probably the first round. All right, fine. Take it. Enjoy. And then what we'll do is we'll sit back. We'll take Marvin Harrison at 3, or we'll take him at 4. And listen, jumping 2 spots is still expensive. So by trading New England at 3 would not necessarily kill the value because you're still going to get a lot to move up 2 spots.
Yeah, but you're getting something you need.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's more of an asset.
Does Drake May fit at, say, in New England? Do you think he would be a good fit in New England?
I know he's saying because he's white. I'm not trying to be weird, but think about it. When's the last time, maybe aside from Jacoby Brissett being like a third stringer for New England who finally came in and played, maybe one black quarterback that's been tied to New England for the last 15 years? None. Like
Cam
nobody.
Newton.
Drake May's white.
He doesn't count. Cam Newton does not count. He went in there as a goddamn ticket salesman.
I'm just saying.
Patriots can take McCarthy at 3. There's no way. No,
Drake May. Drake May.
If they're gonna go a guy in the first round, they're gonna go May. If they're not gonna take May in the first round, if New England waits, which I don't know what the hell they would wait for. I mean, what they could do is if they like McCarthy, which I've never heard.
But the Commanders are right there too.
Yeah,
Commanders are second. They're obviously taking a quarterback.
Yep.
I don't even think they like Sam Howell, to be honest with you. Which I didn't think he played half that bad. He had a lot of turnovers.
Let me read through the top 10 that NFL Draft Buzz has for they scored them. Okay. Marvin Harrison's number 1.
Yep.
We all agree on that. Caleb Williams at number 2.
No, absolutely not.
I don't agree. Yeah.
He's not in my top 10. He's not in my top 10. He's not.
I agree. I think he's overrated. Joe Alt. From offensive tackle.
That should be number 2. That should be number 2.
I agree.
Number 2.
Okay. Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver from LSU.
He belongs in the top 10. But I'm actually going to go ahead.
I like Awuzie better out of Washington than I like Neighbors.
You know what? No, but right there at number 4 or number 3, whatever, is where I would actually probably go ahead and put Brock Bowers. He would be in my top 5, 100%.
Well, Drake May's 5.
Yep.
He's okay. Brock Bowers is 6. I would put Brock Bowers in my top 3.
He's in my top 3, top 4, 100%.
Top 3. Yeah. Brock Bowers is.
Yep.
I mean,
I think the best 3 talents right now are going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., Joe Alt, and Bowers. That's my top 3, 100%.
Tight ends are so important in today's NFL. I mean, just look around. Jaden Daniels is at 7.
Oh God.
I don't know about that.
He runs well, man.
And he did not participate in the combine. What do you guys? If you're a GM, what are your thoughts if if he's on your list and he doesn't participate in the combine?
Yeah, I said that last week. I said you're going to end up seeing more bust picks with the way things are transpiring because these guys haven't played since November. Some of them haven't played since November, and then if they made a bowl game in December and January,
the problem is
that they might not have even participated in because they were assuming they were a top round pick. They didn't want to risk injury, so they haven't played since then. You can't evaluate talent that way because just like the one guy lost 30 pounds, who's to say these guys in the NFL standards, an extra 10 pounds on some of these guys is a big deal.
Well, let me ask you this, though. So you modernize every part of the game, right? Let's just be honest. They're trying to modernize and change the entire way that we do the game, right? Everything's changing all the time. Why is it that we follow such an archaic process like the combine? Like, there has to be a better way to evaluate talent. And I get where Shane came from earlier as far as getting people to watch it.
But in college football, it's hard to evaluate talent when you have top teams playing.
I agree. But what I'm saying
you can't evaluate it that way.
But what I'm saying though is we've come to the realization since NFL started. There's always been draft busts. Since the 50s, there's draft busts. since Bell actually started the draft back in like 56 or whatever year that was. There's always been busts in the draft. The problem is we're still trying to shop these guys in the offseason the same way that we always have. So we're changing contracts. We're changing schematics of the game. We're changing game planning. We're changing coaching philosophies. The only thing we don't change is how we evaluate talent. We're still training.
Now, wait a second, Rich. So you're telling me that seeing the guy line up and run a 40-yard dash and see how fast they are doesn't translate? Or if someone weighs 310 pounds and can run 5 seconds, it's like racing. There's no replacement for displacement. Size and speed are the great equalizers.
Again, I'm not, and me and Freight Train agreed on this last week when we talked about this. There are certain things in the combine that make sense. Like the speed, like you said, speed matters. If you're a corner or a receiver, vertical definitely matters. I mean, there are things that do matter. Like, again, offensive lineman, defensive lineman, strength and speed do matter. What I'm saying, though, is, but there's so many other, like the 3-cone drill, it matters, but it doesn't. But, like, there's also things that we have to be able to add, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying necessarily take things away.
Oh, okay, I got you now. Okay.
There has to be a new, modernized version of,
right. Like the bench press is antiquated. I agree with you. It's stupid.
Well, let's look at our all-time leaders in the 3-cone drill. Did it matter? Probably not. Like, let's check our fastest ever times with this. Did it matter? No, it didn't.
They might not even be in the NFL.
Yeah, exactly. He might not even have made it more than 2 years. So, at what point is there somebody sitting down? We love stats in the NFL. The NFL loves its numbers. Why is there not somebody sitting down going, okay, the top 50 of all time at this stat didn't do anything? For example, you're right, though. Speed does matter, but to a point, it does not if you don't have the rest of what you need, right? Like we saw that with John Ross III in Cincinnati. Up until this year, fastest 40 time of all time. But if you can't get the ball in your hands and you can't run routes and you have terrible footwork and you can't catch, it doesn't matter how fast you run. This isn't track. This is the NFL. You got to catch the ball. Now, if you want to be a running back and try that, good luck, but you're undersized. So at some point, like, yes, the 40 matters. Yes, strength matters. Yes, those kind of things matter. But you have to do to put it all together. It all has to come together. Like, for example, and the catching the ball, what is it? Like they run like four routes the entire combine. And they're done. Like, look, he made an over the shoulder catch, made a sideline catch, made another catch. Okay, and I mean, like I can go out there and get lucky and go 3 for 4, 2 for 4. It ain't that hard. It blows my mind that we do not go further into detail on trying to explore these guys. All we care about. It's literally it's not Olympics. It's gladiatorship is what it is. It's we shove these guys in an arena, tell them to run as fast as they can, throw as far as they can, and do whatever they can. And he threw it the farthest. That's my quarterback. He ran the fastest. There's my running back. A lot of the time, it doesn't matter. I mean, it really doesn't. Like,
I think there's a team of guys that look through social media posts. That look through. It's almost like a private detective. They look through everything with a fine-tooth comb.
It's a social background. Yep.
It's they have to take that psychological test. I
think, Rich, what will help what you just elaborated on is the college football playoff, because these kids aren't going to be playing in meaningless bowl games and skip out on them. They're playing for a national championship in a playoff setting. So we're going to see what these kids do against top talent instead of beating up on a crappy team or not even playing at all.
Yeah. Well, and I have 2 final thoughts on this, and we can move on. I know you had some other topics you want to hit on, and we're kind of running low on time. But my 2 final things, I'll make them both quick. Number 1, I fully agree with what Robbie said. We've talked about this before, Freight Train. If you want to be in the NFL draft and you expect somebody to take a draft pick that could literally change the entire future of their franchise, you have to participate in the combine. You have to.
It's like not showing up for a job interview.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. It's like you have a job performance test and you just don't want to show up. You don't want to take it. Well, I'm not taking it. I already know I'm good enough. You have to trust that I say that I'm good enough. No, I want to see it. I don't care about your pro day because you're trying to hide that. What you're going to do then is you're in a more secluded environment, whatever. No, you are going to go out here like everybody else. If you want to be the number 1 wide receiver, well, while Xavier Worthy's running his 40s, and no offense to Marvin Harrison Jr., in his defense, he has no reason to run because he's locked into the modern day way of things. No, you should be out there running the 40, grabbing balls like everybody else. Because how many times would these top 10 guys have proven they don't belong in the top 10 by having terrible combines, and their camp knows it, which is why they don't go into the combine, is to hide face. Well, what's going to happen is you saving face could kill Chicago's next 5 years because they
Right.
choked on you. Just that
Mhm.
pisses me off. And then my last thought, aside from that, and I forget what I was going to say actually, so I might not have a second thought anymore. But overall, the combine has to change. I mean, they have to start incorporating the modern day game to it, and you
I
got to start
agree.
participate. And if you don't participate, get the hell out because you're obviously not taking this as seriously as you should. Because the rest of these guys came out here to earn a spot and live out their dream, while you're sitting at home eating popcorn, watching them sweat their asses off and trying to prove themselves. That pisses me off. That really pisses me off. I've always hated that. But moving on from that, I'll let you hit on these two things real quick, Freight. I know you had any thoughts. Feel free to kick in, Shane. I just saw this stuff like 10 minutes before the show. So.
Yeah. So just some fun little NFL tidbits. So if you didn't see it, a Jacksonville Jaguars employee, Amit Patel, pleads guilty to stealing $22 million from the franchise.
Woo!
Now, $22 million to pay off. Now, I got it for you. FanDuel sports betting debt. He bought a 1996 Tiger Woods putter. He's
What?
yes, $78,000 in private jets, and get this. This is the kicker of it all. He used $275,000 of that money to retain his attorney.
Well, he knew he was going to need it for the $22 million that he stole.
I mean, at what point did he sit back and look, you know what? I'm at like $1 million in debt to FanDuel. Maybe sports betting isn't my niche. He's
going to claim it's a disease, and then he's going to, for all the fun he had for that $22 million, he might sit in jail for 3 years. Here's the question to you boys. For $22 million, would you sit in jail for 3 years? I know I would.
I mean, the thing is, he's got to pay it all back, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not. I don't know how they're going to have him pay it back. I mean, I don't know. I
can't believe they turn him.
They just write it off. I'm just going to write this off.
They will write that off, dude. These corporations are billions. But I mean, for me personally, I definitely would take. I'll take 5 years in the slammer for 22 mil. I mean, I'm only 30, right? I'm 30 years old. I mean, my son would be like 7, so I feel bad for him. But I'm like, yo, daddy hit a little bit of money underneath the house.
The thing is,
just go out there and grab some whenever you need some. That's it. Merry Christmas.
The thing that makes this even more wild is the Jaguars reached out to FanDuel and asked for their money back, and FanDuel said, "Hell no, no, he's already bet that. That's gone. That's our
we
money.
don't do refunds."
yeah.
All right, well, then you had one more funny topic you wanted to hit on as well.
So some of you might have seen this one. The Chiefs super fan, Chiefsaholic. And if you don't know who Chiefsaholic is, he's a guy that dresses like a werewolf in the stands. Big deal around Kansas City. He was indicted on bank robbery. He robbed 11 banks. 11
He would
banks.
rob them and then go to the game, buy tickets. Yeah.
Guys, this is like Bonnie and Clyde. Who robs banks anymore? The banks don't even have money. Like, what's he getting? Where's the money?
Yeah.
Like, bank robbery, and you couldn't catch him until the 11th one. And then what makes it even more...
He's on national television every week.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is it. He got caught because on the 11th bank robbery, you know what his getaway was? A bicycle.
You robbed 11 banks.
It wasn't even a motorized bike.
You robbed 11 banks, and the best you could do for a getaway vehicle was a bicycle. That's somebody who robs their first corner store, for Christ's sakes. Like, you rob a gas station with a bicycle. You don't rob a bank with a bike.
Like, come on, dude. Like, I hope was he robbing these in like his wolf costume? Or like what was he doing? Like, but that's probably
where the wolf costume came from. He was probably robbing the banks. While he was trying to get away, he would change into the wolf costume to disguise himself, go to the game, be on national TV. I mean, there's no better disguise than being right there on television every Sunday.
But I'm not even gonna lie here. This is impressive. 11 banks. Like, you got away with 10 other bank robberies?
It's not impressive. Do you wonder why it's not impressive? Because he probably didn't
give it to him.
They probably
I'm
didn't
giving it
get
to
much.
him.
They probably didn't care. Like, I took $100,000. You know what $100,000 is today? It's nothing. I mean, you got to remember, like back in the day, you had like Wild West guys that were stealing $100,000 at the time, and that was worth a lot more money back then. Was he stealing a couple? What was he doing? Stealing the tills from the people up front? Like, come on, what did you steal? What did you steal from a bank in 2024? I mean, come on.
The banks don't have money. They
It's all
just
virtual
don't.
now.
Yeah.
Unless you break into like the U.S. Mint or something. Okay, fine, that's impressive. But
I'm telling you, you go
robbing
rob your local bank, like around here, you're lucky to get like $50. Like,
that's pretty much the average median income for people in that area. I'm just kidding.
True.
It's the
But
same
yeah.
everywhere. We're all broke. But yeah, man, that's crazy. That's absolutely insane. But yeah, Shane, 22 million for 3 for 3 years, 100%. That's worth every dollar. And I'm going to stash a shit ton away where nobody's going to find it. And I will make sure that I wash it and like, listen, honey, take care of the baby, pay the mortgage, do whatever pay the house off. I don't give a shit.
So you're washing it. Is that money laundering?
Yes, 100%. Well, dude, I already stole $22 million. Do you think my morality stops at washing the money? I mean, if anything, you know what? If anything, the Jaguars would have appreciated the fact the guy actually tried to hide it and didn't just take 22 mil.
And
at least
also,
wash it, man. Like, come on.
I forgot. I read this. He also spent money on a Pat Mahomes painting that was autographed for charity.
Oh my god!
So at least he was giving money to charity.
Yeah.
Like
Jaguars donated money to charity.
Right.
Like
you almost
like
if you're a judge, you're like, I'll take one charge away because you did give to charity. Like you might be halfway a decent human being.
You might have spent the other $21.7 million.
$500.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You only spent the other $21.95 million on selfish reasons, but for that $500, good for you, man. Good for you.
Solid dude. Solid dude.
But and then moving on, and obviously we're going from one dramatic to the other. That was pretty funny, by the way. I didn't see that one at all. I just saw the other one. But part of sad news, we've been seeing this every year. We lose guys all the time. Obviously, the big news the other day, Chris Mortensen did pass away. He has been, for a lot of our younger generation, he has been what we grew up to. We grew up to the Chris Mortensen era, and I think John Clayton, the guy that we lost a few years back, and we lost Scott like 7-8 years ago. He was a big ESPN guy. And it's weird, man, because I feel like every time I put on ESPN or a football game, I don't recognize half the people that are talking to me anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
But why can't we trade Chris Mortensen for Mel Kiper Jr.? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Why can't we get rid of Mel Kiper and bring back Chris Mortensen? I'll take that trade all day long. Take it.
Well, the thing about Chris Mortensen, too, is like he was that journalist that didn't have a lot of controversy along with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He didn't have a personal agenda. You really didn't.
No, it was genuine. It was knowledgeable. It wasn't a shot at anybody.
Yep.
He was just talking football. That's what anybody wants anymore. Now, when people write things, it's all about clickbait and getting the reaction out of somebody rather than just the meat and potatoes of what everybody wants. And that was Chris Mortensen. He gave you the meat and potatoes.
I want to trade that Nick guy from ESPN for Chris Mortensen to come back too. I think he's my least favorite guy. That Nick guy, Nick Wright, whatever the hell his name is. I can't stand that guy.
Oh, good Lord.
And the longer his hair gets, the bigger his ego gets. And I'm like, dude, you're like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. But yeah, man, it is sad. Like losing these guys is like losing my childhood, man. Every time I turn something on, I'm like, damn, whatever happened to that guy? And I'm like, I forgot Scott passed away from cancer, and like, you got him passed, and it's inevitable. We all get there, but like, I don't know. For me, it's been pretty crazy to turn on the TV and keep seeing all these guys pass away. But I remember my great grandma used to say all the time: the older you get, the older everybody else is getting, and you start losing a lot more people around you as you get older. So if you don't like death when you're young, you're really not going to like it as you get old. That's just a part of life, man. But yeah, R.I.P. to Chris Mortensen. Shout out to his family. Hopefully, everybody has peace at this time. I can't imagine that being easy. Plus, being a big public figure, I'm sure they're going to hear about it for a long time to come. That must be tough, by the way. Imagine losing a relative for us is already hard. Imagine if every time you turn on the TV, all you do is see his face every 5 seconds. I mean, at least in my house, the only time I'm ever going to see my relative ever again is the little card that you get at the funeral. I don't have to turn on the TV and hear everybody talk about him for 3 hours.
Right. Yeah.
What did he say? Get rid of Collinsworth and put Kelsey in the spot. We're talking announcers now.
I hate
by the way, Jason Kelsey being an announcer would be way too unprofessional. I mean, there'd be F-bombs and shirtless dudes. And I mean, you do not want
luchador mask.
Hey, give us Pat McAfee and Jason Kelsey on a broadcast game. I'd much rather tune into that.
Oh my God, that would be
Dude, they
fantastic.
tried putting Pat McAfee on wrestling where you're not supposed to curse. He was dropping A bombs and B bombs, and
yeah,
I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to curse on this anymore, right? I mean, they don't care. I'm not gonna lie to you though. I think we should have a podcast separately for drunk McAfee and drunk Kelsey.
right.
Like, like instead of new heights with him and Travis, it'd be all-time lows with him and Pat McAfee or something. Like put a little spin on it where they just get drunk and tell the truth on what they think about the NFL. I would love that.
I love the shows where Pat McAfee is talking to either Pat White or Pac-Man Jones when he's with another like former player. They act foolish, man. It's just fun to watch these guys get crazy.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic.
But we will move on here. Yeah, we're gonna save the last topic. But for right now, we will have one more topic we'll hit on. Very last topic of the show. We have to because it has been the most talked about thing in the NFL for the last couple of days, especially for me. I mean, my whole news feed is nothing but hashtags, thank you, and all this stuff. But it is official, ladies and gentlemen. After 13 years in the National Football League, a legend in the making, the best center in football. Call him whatever you want. I call him Jason Kelsey, the stud. Jason Kelsey officially retires after 13 years in the National Football League, 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler in just 13 years. And he was not very good. He didn't get a lot of time to play, by the way, when he first started here. So for him, man, his second half of his career is an immediate Hall of Fame career.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a shame. I mean, it's hard to watch. I'm very happy for him. Kylie had a big thing to do with this. She was probably like, all right, honey, come on. Enough is enough. Let's go home. We got young kids. But yeah, man, it was tough to watch. Now, did you guys see his press conference by any chance?
Oh, of course.
I did watch it. It was really good.
I gotta say, and I had some people that I was talking to, like Steelers fans, like John Colley or other guys, and like some of my other friends though who I talked to recently, there's a lot of people that are saying this is one of the top 5 maybe retirement speeches of all time. I mean, he does a full life synopsis from, like, I was wondering where he was coming from. He was crying his eyes out for like the first 7 minutes, which, by the way, I did see a couple tweets where they were saying whoever taught him and his brother the emotional awareness to be allowed to be emotional for men is so rare. And him and Travis Kelsey wear their heart on their sleeve, dude. I mean, Travis is crying in the front row. Jason's bawling every 5 seconds. And Jason's not some small, scrawny dude. I mean, he's a big, burly dude. And he just bawled his eyes out for a good, like, 10 minutes. But what I was fascinated by was everybody was confused. I ain't gonna lie to you. If you say that you weren't, you're lying. When he first started talking, like, my back in the dew grass, I'm like, what the hell is this? Is he okay? Did he take too many lumps? Is he retiring because of like?
Did he go on an Aaron Rodgers retreat? Like, what's he talking about?
I was like, is this rapid fire CTE where like in the last couple of months just rapidly hit him all at once? I'm like, what is he talking about? But then as I listened to him, like his retirement speech wasn't, oh, I was so great and I did all this great. He glamorized all of his players, all of his coaches. He mentioned the Philadelphia fans, which Philadelphia fans love the fact that they're like, hey, listen. He said, like, they will criticize you. They will tear you down when you play like crap, and rightfully so. But when you play great, you will be a legend forever. What I did not like was he called himself overhyped. He's like, I'm the most overhyped guy, but he was good. But I just thought the story that he told, his retirement being a lifetime story, instead of just a 10-minute, I'm retiring from the National Football League, blah, 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 everybody else does. That was a very, very beautiful send-off. And no, I did not cry, Kyle. I watched it at work. I was actually pissed off because my job sucked that day. Like every day, but really that day. But now, man, very, very good. What were your thoughts on that, Freight Train? What was your final thought?
It was kind of like inspiring because it seemed to me like it was a guy that was going out on his own terms. Like, he still has it. He can still play. And the passion at a pretty high level, but he just like for something told him like now's the time. I got 3 little girls at home, a wife. My podcast career is up. Like I can still be involved in the game, but still have more time for family, which for me speaks volumes. As a father of 5, being home with my kids, like that
might be home with
a lot of willpower to do.
With 5 kids, you weren't home with the kids. You were home with the wife in the room while the kids were sleeping. That's what was happening.
Right. Well,
you don't have 5 kids by accident,
There's something in the water up here in Ohio, I swear.
The kids, they put Robitussin in the sippies.
A little chloroform on the wind.
That's night juice.
Oh man! And then, so what about? And now Shane, obviously, like you being the fake Kelsey here out of the three, the special.
Okay.
What were your thoughts
So
after watching that?
I liked when he was talking about his wife. That was really a nice moment. But then I thought, in my mind, who tapped him on the shoulder and suggested him retiring?
His wife, 100%.
Was wife? You think it was wife?
Maybe.
I think it was his wife. But I also think it was him. I think a lot of it is him.
I think he realized that he's starting to lose a little bit of a step, and just the struggle of the off season. Just staying in shape, and it gets harder when you get older. I think.
I don't. Only because he came off of an all-pro season. Like, yeah, okay, fine. Even if he loses a half a step, he's still the best center in football. He can lose 2 steps and be the best center in football. But I think what it came down to, and he makes this very clear. I watch a lot of the podcasts. I don't watch it live or anything like that, but I do watch a lot of it.
Yeah.
And if you notice, there's one very, very common theme, and that is he is family over everything.
And he's self-aware. I think he's so self-aware. His self-awareness is what makes him so charming, and the self-deprecating humor.
He's never, he's never tried to live outside of his box. He's always been the big, heavy,
right.
Always been teddy.
That's why he's finishing at the peak, instead on the downslide.
I think it was a consensus. I think what it probably came down to was the wife was probably like, hey, the girls love you being home. And if you watch that Kelsey movie as well, you see him after the Super Bowl playing all lovey-dovey with the kids like nothing was wrong.
At the beach and stuff, yeah.
Kylie even talked about it. She goes, he was torn. Like, you could tell how hard it was for him, but he never showed that to the girls for a single moment, how truly heartbroken he was. Mm-hmm. I think it was just time for him himself, for his wife, for his daughters. And listen, the NFL is getting faster. We had a rough year last year. Cam Jurgens is there for a reason. I think another part of it was something I told my boss when I left my agency with Allstate was when I first started here, we had nothing. Like, we were a bottom of the barrel agency. We barely were selling anything. I'm walking away today, but you guys are in the best position you've ever been in. We're selling 10 times more than anybody else. We're doing a great job. You can survive without me now. I can walk away and not feel like I'm leaving you stranded. And I think what he did was he saw where the team is going, where the team is, saw where his family is. He'll never get that time back. And I truly think it was best for the team, best for him, best for the wife and kids. I think all around.
Now, do you think next year Travis follows suit and goes and plays Sonny and Cher with Taylor?
He has 3 more years.
I think he has a couple of years. Like, you gotta remember, he has no kids. He doesn't have any kids. He doesn't really have the same motivations that Jason has. And no offense, I love Travis. I do think Jason's the more humble of the two. He's definitely the most down to earth out of the two. And he's the one that, again, he retired on his own terms. I think Travis is going to be unfortunate and he's going to retire when he's pretty much forced to retire just because that's the way he is. That's his persona. And he's also
pushing there.
Well, the other thing is too, though, centers aren't pushing for stats. Like nobody cares if you have the most pancakes of all time, but when you're a tight end, they do care about how many touchdowns you have in the end and receiving yards. And that's why Brady stuck as long as he did. And LeBron James ball is still playing ball because you got to hype up those stats before you retire so nobody can pass them or make it harder to pass, whatever. I think Kelsey has at least 2-3 more years left, especially if they keep winning. If they start losing, maybe, but no matter what, he has at least 2 years left.
Yeah, but, you look at DeClose he wears. He's a prima donna. It's about him. He likes the attention. Kelsey's more. The other Kelsey's more about his family. The teammates. It doesn't make Jason a better guy. It doesn't make one Kelsey better than the other. They're two different guys. You know.
Yeah. But it was really cool. The whole story's cool. I had a feeling he was going to retire. Obviously, the Kelsey movie came out a while back. They thought he was going to retire last year. He stayed 1 more year than he should have. And at first, I was like, he better come back. And then when I sat by myself with a few buddies of mine, we're talking about this. And we're like, you know what? As much as I feel selfish in the comment section, I was watching it live on the Eagles page when he was talking. And everybody's like, selfishly, I want you to come back. Unselfishly, you earn your time, man. Like, you enjoy yourself. Good luck to whatever's next. Just stay close to the franchise, which I'm sure he will, because he does. He has to know he's a legend forever. So, but it's so cool that we're talking about a center. Like, if you were to just disguise the name, you'd think we're talking about quarterbacks or a top of the line wide receiver. We're talking about a center, guys, like an NFL center. You never thought that these kind of guys would get this kind of hype now because they never did. They never got this kind of hype ever.
No.
It's a shame. Hopefully, Jason Kelsey is a bit of a trend center, and maybe we'll start getting a lot more love and attention to those big burly guys up front with all the bullshit, by the way, and have the worst injuries.
I think he was a
Nothing like
three-star,
having a 275
three-star
pound
recruit. Him and his brother are both three-star recruits. West Virginia didn't want, didn't want the younger brother. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a great story. That they went to Cincinnati, made a career for themselves in the NFL, and
I was thinking that too, Kyle. I was thinking the same thing. I wanted to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony for LaDainian Tomlinson back in like 2016 or whatever that was, and I didn't go. I think I may make the road trip out to Canton when Kelsey is there making that speech. I very well may have to take a trip out there because that is one I just don't want to miss. I'm expecting a very good speech, by the way, so I really hope he knows. The pressure's on. You had a great Super Bowl speech, phenomenal retirement speech. You better have something good ready for the Hall of Fame. So hopefully probably be a little bit more PG, but then again, maybe it won't be. Maybe he'll be out there shirtless. Be the first person ever.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Everybody else is wearing suits. He may very well be shirtless. We'll see. That's pretty much all we had, man. And obviously, guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, we went a little bit longer. I usually do bring up the graphic of it. Remember, AJB Sports. You find them on YouTube, on Facebook. You'll find them if you search them on the internet. AJBSportshop.com. Get all of the best gear you possibly can from there at the best possible pricing you'll find it for. Make sure you check out the Triple B Experience with Bubba Brewer over on his channel, the Triple B Experience. And also keep coming back to us every Thursday at 8 p.m. The shows will be getting better soon now that we're figuring things out with work and new jobs and kids and a whole bunch of chaos. But it will be a lot better soon. But Freight, anything that you want to plug before you hop out of here?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to hop over to the Steelers realm here, talk a little bit of Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just excited to really kick off free agency with you guys next week because be heading straight into it.
I kind of want to come on the Steelers show now. I want to come on there and talk Steelers now. I haven't gotten my football fix yet, man.
Yeah.
And then obviously, Freight Train does do the Steelers Run podcast. They will be actually. I think they're live right now without them. Sorry, Freight Train. I know we went over a little bit. And then Shane, anything you want to plug before you hop out of here?
I'm on a new show starting in 2 weeks called Fan to Fan. Me and Joey are going to talk about just college sports, maybe some Mountaineer stuff, some Pitt stuff, Penn State, Ohio State, just sports in general. And you can catch me there and then on the Triple B. So thanks for having me on. I'm going to pop off.
All right, man. Nice seeing you. All right, guys. Well, that is the end of the show. We appreciate you guys big time. Kyle Veers, Robbie DeFeo, everybody else in the comment section as well. But you guys really did keep that comment section alive, and we do appreciate stuff like that. So thank you. Make sure you guys tune back in. Remember, the mock drafts will be posted and pinned on our page sometime this week. So start submitting those mock drafts because, again, there will be a gift card in it for you if you have the most correct choices. But in the meantime, Freight Train, Rich Smoke, heading out. It's been a good time like always. And, we wish you guys the best.